when it comes to the ratio of health for time and cost invested outcome, not many dishes or things can top sauerkraut or fermented cabbage. Now, of course, you can go crazy and make your batch super different and increase the complexity and the cost of it, but there's no need for that because with a handful of affordable and readily available ingredients, we can make what even scientists are starting to call one of the best foods for our gut microbiome. If you've seen any of my other videos and you decided to come back for more, then I assume that you are finding some value in them. If that's the case, please bless me with your kindness by subscribing to the channel as it helps me grow and become better. In return, I promise to bring you higher value content each time. Thank you very much. And yes, not only is it a delicious dish that keeps us going primarily in the cold months and from which we can make truly amazing dishes, but fermented cabbage is one of the most beneficial foods that build, maintain and support a healthy and vibrant gut microbiome, who, as a thanks for this nutrient-dense offering, keeps us healthy and vibrant in return. Okay, I'll stop worshipping at the feet of the microbiome for a second and I'll tell you the ingredients that we will need for this recipe. Are you ready? You'll need 1 head of fresh cabbage, 2 medium carrots, rock salt, pickling salt or sea salt, and a couple of cloves of garlic. Done. That's it. Nothing else. Goodbye. At the same time, the tools to prepare this fermented side dish are a sharp knife, a chopping board, a large bowl, a gallon jar, some cheesecloth, an elastic band, and a veggie peeler. When it comes to prep, it couldn't be easier. The carrots must be peeled or not, depending on how you see things and where you source them, and after that slice them into different shapes and sizes. I like slices and sticks for variety and for how they look inside of the jar. The purpose of the carrot is primarily to make this side dish look nice, vibrant and colorful, so an aesthetic role. At the same time, it will ferment as well and become sweet and sour, giving the final product a nice and special kick. As for the garlic, just peel it and crush it to activate that healthy allicin inside of it. Apart from that, the garlic will add its specific flavor to the ferment and surprisingly it won't overpower the general flavor but enhance it and make it unique. Lastly, the cabbage, and here I purposefully chose to make the traditional version, which involves just removing the core and chopping the cabbage into medium-sized pieces. It's fast, easy and offers a great texture to the finished product. In some cultures, if it's not sliced super thin using a mandolin, it's not sauerkraut. But that brings additional expenses and not everybody has a mandolin, and it's quite dangerous. As a chef for many years, I've cut myself with the mandolin and let me tell you, it's one of the worst and messy events a chef can experience while prepping. So save yourself the drama and the pain and stick to the basics. Once you're done with this stage, you'll see that you have a tower of cabbage stacked inside of your bowl. Good, we want that because in the next step it will lose a lot of that volume. The reason? Salt. And that is because now we will add the salt to the cabbage in the bowl and start crushing it, massaging it, caressing it, or whatever term you want to use. But the goal here is to soften the cabbage with the help of the salt to the point where it releases a lot, if not most of the water stored in its structure. Do this until you're tired, then take 30-minute break. Be patient because we will do this in stages. It will need a couple of sessions until the cabbage is ready to be fermented. I usually apply 4 sessions of massaging to the batch before I'm happy with the amount of juice released. Remember, we're not using water at all, so all the liquid must come from the cabbage itself. Use a timer and in between sessions, carry on with your normal life. Don't be discouraged by this process. Set half a day aside for it and get it done, as you won't need to make sauerkraut very often. One batch will keep you going for months. At the same time, it can be fun and therapeutic, depending on what you imagine that you're crushing while fisting and squeezing the cabbage. Enough said. You do you. When you're done with the cabbage, meaning it lost half of its initial volume and most of the leaves are soft and flexible, add the carrots and the garlic to the bowl and mix well one last time. Then take your gallon jar and start packing the ingredients into it. Fill it halfway and then start pressing the ingredients down. Do this or you won't fit it all in and you won't get a perfect fermentation. The tighter you pack it, the better the end product will be. I won't make another fisting joke, I promise, but instead, I'll say that a rolling pin will work very well, especially if the jar you're using has a small mouth. Lastly, add the juice that the cabbage left behind to the jar so that you cover all the solids. Very important, make sure that you leave headspace. Not a joke. This space is necessary so that in the fermentation stage, the contents of the jar won't spill out and make a huge mess in your kitchen or on your counters. A very useful tip I learned from my grandma is to find a small enough glass jar or cup that will fit snug in the mouth of the gallon jar. This will keep the fermentation safe by ensuring that all the solids are submerged under the cabbage juice or brine. Alternatively, you can buy sauerkraut crocks that come with fermentation weights and all kind of accessories, but that's a huge investment. And although I would love to own such a magnificent tool one day, I've been making fermented cabbage for 25 years now and I've never had an issue with this easy method that I'm sharing with you today. As you can see, I'm doing exactly that, and by gently pushing the cup in, I'm allowing all the solids to stay in the brine and save the batch from any fungi or molds. Then cover the mouth of the gallon jar with cheesecloth and secure it in place with an elastic band. Then store it in a dark, cool place somewhere in your kitchen. It doesn't have to be cold, room temperature is just fine. Pro tip, put the jar on a plate or a bowl so that in case of any overflow or spillage due to fermentation, you won't dirty your countertops. From this point, your batch will be ready in about 2 weeks. Now, that's when it's technically done, but I find myself, as I'm becoming older, that I love more sour and intense flavors. So personally, I leave mine for about a month or sometimes even more, because the more you allow it to ferment, the more the taste transforms and in my opinion becomes better. Just make sure to mix some water and salt and top up the brine if you're going to leave it for longer than 2 weeks, because inevitably the water will evaporate and you will lose some of the juice inside. If it dries up on the top and the solids are not submerged, a slimy mold will eventually ruin your batch, and honestly that's a sin. Like all the things in life that we love, this too needs some care and attention. Regardless of how long you decide to ferment it for, when it's done, I suggest you take it out from the main jar and repackage it into smaller and more practical jars. Same as before, ensure that you top up the smaller jars with the fermented juice so that they will keep well, especially because now we will put a lid on them and evaporation won't be a problem anymore. Of course, make sure you try it, taste it, and give it your seal of approval. But in many ways, you're done, and you're ready to enjoy this amazing and healthy side dish with anything that you can imagine. If you have any juice left, you can cook with it, or you can just drink it as a gut health miracle. Or, in case you partied a bit too much last night, you can drink it as a hangover cure. And if you enjoyed this one, then like it and share it with others. Thank you very much, and I wish you a lot of fun and success in your kitchen adventures. See you next time. I don't understand why people drink wine. This is as good and healthier.
You're an alien, buddy.